Thanks to Julio Rodriguez and Luis Castillo, the Mariners have themselves another 4-game win streak. We'll talk about the win and more coming up here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. This is Tynan Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, you can check out our Patreon. All you have to do to check that out is click the link in the description of this episode. Mariners beat the White Sox 5-1 last night. We'll get into all of that, including Luis Castillo's performance. We'll also talk about the Mariners' plan for tonight's game, which could very well wind up being played tomorrow. High chance of rain tonight in Chicago. We'll talk about the possibility of a doubleheader a little later on in the show. But let's start with last night's game, and let's start with the offense. 5-1. You hear that final score and you go, man, the Mariners really handled the White Sox, right? That wasn't really the case. I mean, there wasn't really a point in this game where I was scared they were going to lose because the White Sox are just that bad. Maybe you felt scared, but you're the guy who says that it's ball game after someone hits a leadoff home run against you.
All,
so
I have
whatever.
not said that. So,
yeah, you have. You literally did on Sunday. We have proof.
No. On Sunday I said like that might be ball game. LOL.
Whatever.
Yeah. Okay. You're gonna interpret tone. Cool. Good for you.
I'm just saying how everyone reads your tweets. Maybe that's a you problem.
Sounds like that's everybody else's problem.
That sounds like maybe a you problem.
Sounds like everybody else's problem to me.
So the Mariners, they only get one off of Davis Martin while he's in the game. He actually gets technically tagged for 2 runs in this game because he gives up the first single in the 8th inning that wound up scoring on Julio's second career grand slam. But yeah, the offense for the most part looked pretty lethargic last night until Martin left this game. Then Cam Boozer comes in with a runner on first, ends up walking JP Crawford. Then Mitch Garver gets a single to load the bases. Also, by the way, that pretty much confirms there with Garver pinch hitting for Jorge Polanco that something's going on with Polanco, and he once again is not able to swing from the right side. So that's unfortunate. But Garver comes through with a single to load the bases, which is nice. Good to see. Good last couple of days for Garver at the plate. And then again, Julio hits his second career grand slam to pretty much put this game out of reach. Things got a little dicey there in the 9th inning, but whatever. We'll talk about that maybe a little bit later on. But overall, not a great night for the offense. It's a good thing that they were playing against the White Sox, right?
Yeah. The Mariners answered one very important question. It's, can they sleepwalk their way to a victory? And apparently if you're playing the White Sox on a chilly, windy night on the south side, you can, so long as your starting pitcher is pretty darn good and they're using the heavy medicine balls that aren't traveling at all and all of that good stuff. Sure, you can beat the White Sox. Cool. But for the first, 7 innings of that game, it was an embarrassment to anybody who's ever worn the Mariners uniform, including the guys who couldn't hit, like Brendan Ryan. He was embarrassed for them because that was awful, just awful. Like Davis Martin's having a pretty good year. He should not be dominating you like he did. There's no way he should. He was throwing 92 to 94, a lot of piped fastballs, and you were just rolling over. Not that many hard hit balls. The Mariners only had, I believe, 9 hard hit balls in the entire game.
It's really weird that the one guy that seemed to have him figured out is the guy that's been arguably your second worst hitter, third worst hitter, Ben Williamson. He had 3 hits last night, which good for Ben. A couple of hard hit balls. That's nice to see.
One of them was an infield single, but 3 hits, 3 hits.
Yeah, but a bit weird that he was the guy of all the guys in this lineup to kind of figure out Davis Martin.
Yeah, I mean, it is sometimes it be like that, but you kind of look at
baseball, right?
Right. You look at the wrap and then the top of the order, everybody had a hit. It was 4, 5, 6, 7 that did nothing for you yesterday. But Dylan Moore had a hit. didn't make a huge difference. But Ben
No.
Williamson had 3 hits, and then you wrap it around. JP had a hit and walked twice. Polo had the early RBI. Mitch Garver had a hit. And then obviously Julio hit the big grand slam. Just barely. Not to take anything away from him, but I looked at the batted ball data before we started. Wasn't hit 100 miles an hour. It was only a home run in 7 ballparks. One of them team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So didn't exactly crush it, but it was going to be at least a sac fly and probably at least a double. That's what I thought was off the bat. So either way, really good at bat for Julio. Attacked the first pitch, didn't try to do too much. It was just a nice smooth swing. And it just so happened for whatever reason that the wind did knock that ball down or whatever. It sailed where, we saw Luis Robert and Joshua Palacios like absolutely crush baseballs that just died at the warning track. So just kind of a weird whatever. Sometimes that's baseball. Sometimes, Major League Baseball likes to substitute in these cue balls that they claim are regular baseballs. But for whatever reason, it worked. And the Mariners scored 4 there, and they needed that big hit. And Julio, another big hit for Julio. He's gotten a couple of them this year, late in games, to kind of turn the tide for Seattle. So that's good to see. But yeah, the offense was absolutely dreadful, like unwatchably bad for 7 innings. They grind it out and they find a way to, score on the dumpster fire that is the White Sox bullpen. Good on them. But it was gross. It was really gross to watch that game for 7 innings. It's
like I said on my short reaction last night. Like, that's the benefit of playing against the White Sox. And we'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about Luis Castillo's start. But again, for me, I wasn't really concerned because it's the White Sox and they'll give you so many opportunities to beat them. Just figured eventually that would come around, and sure enough, it did there in the 8th inning. 3rd night in a row that the Mariners were able to play add-on late, though. Saw them do that in San Diego, and again last night with the 4-run 8th. So that's nice to see them, put things a little bit more out of reach for the teams that they're playing against. They should have saved Andres Munoz from pitching in this game, but unfortunately, Troy Taylor looks all kinds of broken right now. I assume, and this probably will have happened by the time that you're watching this, I assume he's going to be the corresponding move for Casey Lawrence, getting added to the 26-man roster tonight. So yeah, I mean, it might be Jonathan Diaz, but I think they might hang on to Diaz, especially because they're going to try and bullpen this game, whether it's played tonight or tomorrow. But anyway, we're going to talk about Luis Castillo's start in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use promo code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. For instant reactions following every Mariners game, be sure to tune into the Mariners postcast with Anderson Hurst and Christopher Crawford, available on both the Locked On Mariners YouTube and podcast feeds. So the Mariners off to a 4-0 start to this road trip, and per our friend Alex Mayer from the Mariners are setting a little bit of a history on this road trip. The Mariners pitching staff, according to Alex, is the first to allow no more than 1 run and no more than 2 walks and 4 consecutive wins on a road trip since the 1943 St. Louis Cardinals. Wow. Yeah, the Mariners pitching staff has been really good. We talked about how this was the best turn through their rotation on yesterday's episode, and Luis Castillo continued that last night. Goes 7 scoreless, just 3 hits, 5 strikeouts, no walks for Luis. A lot of hard contact against Luis, though. He was middle of the plate, a little too much, but that's the benefit of playing against the White Sox. They didn't make him pay for any of those mistakes. I mean, there was the one ball that Luis Robert hit that, I mean, it was hit harder into the same place that Julio hit his grand slam. Mm-hmm. I have no idea how that ball didn't leave the park, but whatever. Baseball, right?
29-degree launch angle, like barrel. It's a barrel.
Yeah.
And yeah. I don't even think it made it to the warning track.
Yeah. But 7 scoreless for Luis. No matter how you slice it, that is great. That is huge. What did you make of his night?
Yeah, it's kind of a tale of 2 halves for Luis. The first time through the lineup, he was not good. He was getting hit hard with consistency and really fighting command of the fastball and just, ran some deep counts. I think he gave up 10 hard hit balls. I believe 5 of them were against the first 7 hitters that he faced. And then he started to dial it in. At one point, he threw 24 consecutive fastballs. And you remember he did that against the White Sox. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but he threw like 48 straight fastballs against them a few years ago. So, yeah, that's something Luis will do. And he was really feeling the fastball last night. The 4-seamer in particular, he threw 53 4-seamers, 25 swings, 8 whiffs, 32%. That's a really good number. Anything over 30% on a 4-seamer is really good. So 32%. He was feeling good with the fastball. Again, he threw 56% of his pitches were 4-seamers. Another 19% were sinkers. So 75% of the pitches he threw yesterday were fastballs. And he started to find that top rail just above and right at that top rail, which led to a lot of swing and miss, a lot more swing and miss as the game went on. And yeah, when he did get into trouble, the couple times he did early in this game, he was able to get the big strikeout. And this is kind of something we've seen from Luis his last couple times out. He's getting into trouble, but he's finding a way to get out of it without any damage or limiting the damage, getting a key strikeout. And in those spots, his velocity tends to jump up too a little bit. So last night he maxed out at 96.4, 96.7 on the 2-seamer. And the velo was up slightly, but nothing too, incredible. But he threw strikes. And after the first, I would say the first 10, 11 hitters, he really settled down and found his groove, found his fastball on the top rail and just let it eat. He was not intimidated by this lineup. Why would you be? And he went just right after guys. So it was a very aggressive Luis Castillo. Again, it took him a couple innings to kind of dial it in. And those are dangerous times for a pitcher before he really finds feel, but he eventually did find it. And then he just pretty much set it on cruise control. And he just took advantage of the ballpark conditions, took advantage of the ball that they were clearly using, and took advantage of this really bad lineup and just was like, yeah, here's the fastball, hit it. I bet you can't. So again, he was just going right after these guys, just pounding the strike zone, especially with the 4-seamer and the 2-seamer. And he only threw like 5 changeups last night. And yeah, 25% of his pitches were classified as off speed or breaking ball. He's just, here's the fastball, hit it. And the White Sox, even the couple times they did manage to square it up, for whatever reason, the ball wasn't flying yesterday. So good on Luis. That's a veteran guy who knows the conditions, knows the lineup, and knows exactly what he needs to do. And he, I don't want to say exactly carved them up because, again, 10 hard hit balls is a lot for a pitcher to give up. But at the end of the day, he gave up 3 hits. Yeah. Didn't walk anybody. He was
like,
pretty
what more
good.
can you ask? Yeah.
Yeah, this is where the box score scouting isn't 100%. Like Brian Wu was significantly better yesterday than Castillo, or on Sunday than Castillo was yesterday. But who cares? They were both good, and Castillo just happened to be good against a really bad team, and that makes the numbers look all that much better. So good on Luis. This is 3 in a row now for him. 2 in a row. 2 in a row.
Yeah, the really good start against New York. What was the start before New York? It was the Blue Jays start, which wasn't good.
No, yeah. So okay,
yeah. So it's been 2 in a row. Yeah, yeah.
Right, but I believe his ERA now is down to 3.20. And his, I believe his FIP is like 3.6, somewhere in that range. So yeah, is he worth a win yet?
Looking that up right now. He is, yep, right on the dot. 1 F4 right now. Yeah, 3.58 FIP, 3.20 ERA. The xERA and the xFIP still in the fours though right now.
Yeah, he's on pace right now to be a 3-win pitcher.
Yeah,
which is a really good number 4.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
and
absolutely.
That's pretty much what Luis is right now, I would say. Occasionally looks like a 2 or a 3. But mostly he's a low 3, high 4. That's all he ever needed to be. So good on Luis.
I thought Colin Snyder looked really good last night. Now, obviously, you kind of have to grade all these pitching performances on a curve because you're facing the White Sox. They suck. But 2 strikeouts last night for Colin.
Losing this series.
Probably, yeah.
Baseball.
Yeah, there's the curse right there. But yeah, 2 strikeouts in his inning of work, 18 pitches, pretty efficient. Just kind of shredded right through him. It's nice to see from Colin. That was one of the better outings that we've seen from Colin this year, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it was 5-0, right?
Yeah.
So he felt pretty good. He just, I'm throwing strikes, like whatever. I'm not worried about you and this offense with a 5-run lead. I'm going right after guys. Unfortunately, not a lesson Troy Taylor picked up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he threw 18 pitches, 13 were strikes. He had 3 whiffs on 8 swings. Velo's down again today or yesterday for Snyder. About half a tick on everything. The fastball velo, was 95 last year. He's mostly been 92, 93 this year. So I don't know what's going on there. If that's a conscious choice or if he's also is kind of trying to work through something. I don't know.
I mean, last night kind of feels more like it's cold, a little wet, so maybe it was
Luis was able to throw a little bit harder, but he was pretty much right in line and not as hard as he was throwing in his last start.
We did see some 97 from Luis, so that was nice here and there.
Yeah, he threw I think 2 pitches at 97, both of them.
Yeah, the one that tied up
96.7.
The one that's been going around on like Pitching Ninja, I think that was to Slater. The one that got really in on him, pretty sure that was 97 or
technically
96.7.
only 96 points.
Yeah.
But we round up. We round up
around these parts.
Yeah. So Snyder, I thought he was really good, and Snyder's been really solid this year. He's not been the sub 2 ERA guy he was last year, but he's totally perfectly capable middle relief. Middle.
He's a middle guy.
Yeah,
he's a bridge guy. That's fine.
Yep.
Yeah. A bit annoyed that Andres Munoz had to pitch in this game. He only needed 4 pitches, got a strikeout into the game. Cool. I mean, that's not what Andres Munoz does. Once he got into the game, I wasn't worried like, oh, he's gonna make a mistake and it's gonna be tied. Like I wasn't worried about that.
The way the ball was carrying last night, probably not. But it's always just one like, of course, this is the one where like it's against the White Sox and Munoz he has to get ready in a hurry, and it's just like
I'm just a bit more of an optimist than you are.
Sure, Colby. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But
yeah. No. So it's a little annoying that Mooney had to pitch last night. Yeah, we talked about this.
Going to be available today.
Well, it might not matter because again, this game.
Yeah, it might. But like,
may
if the game
very
is
well
played,
get rained out. Yeah,
like I know he only threw 4 pitches yesterday, but like.
Yeah, but we talked about this on yesterday's episode that he had to get up to throw in all 3 of the Padres games. He only pitched in one of them, but he had to get up and throw now in 4 consecutive days. So I have to think that might lead to him not being available tonight. Matt Brash didn't have to pitch last night. He did get up to throw last night, but he didn't wind up pitching because the grand slam. He was going to take the 8th if things stayed at 1-0 or at least a little bit closer.
Yeah.
But
it's a bit of a delicate situation in the bullpen right now because the plan is they're going to bullpen tonight. Casey Legumina is going to get the start. And he's pitched his way into some high leverage situations. So that's one high leverage arm gone. And then, Lawrence is going to get the bulk. I don't know. Is that 4 innings? Is that 5 innings? Is it 3? But either way, you're going to need your middle guys to pitch tonight. And if you need that, then you probably need your high leverage guys. But is Brash available? He had to get hot yesterday. Are they going to do that back-to-back days? Like,
Yeah.
The pitching could get a little dicey tonight. And again, you don't have an off day until Monday. So
Yeah.
Maybe a rainout's not the worst thing, although it would cause some trouble later in the week. I'm fairly certain. So I'm sure we'll talk about that. But yeah, the bullpen, once again, really good. It has been since the second game against the Yankees. Bullpen's been rock solid. And the weak link in that pen is clearly Troy Taylor. He shouldn't sniff the big leagues for a couple months.
No, he's got some stuff to work through. So if tonight got rained out, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world because, again, you're on a 10 games and 10 days road trip. So it'd be nice to have an off day that you weren't expecting. But the price that you'd have to pay for that is you have to cover 18 innings at least tomorrow with this pitching staff. And then you have to go to Houston the next day.
Right.
In a game for a game on Thursday that is likely going to be started by George Kirby. They haven't officially confirmed that, but it seems like that's what's going to happen. And Kirby might be short scripted. So you might need the bullpen to cover 5 innings, 4 or 5 innings in that game at the very least, assuming that, it doesn't go to extras.
That's if the game doesn't go into extras. And as we know, the Mariners and Astros never go to extra innings.
Right. So
never sat through 18 innings of those two teams before. I don't know if Houston has Houston, they wouldn't have a Wednesday off. So Houston, are they at home? Do they have to travel back? Like, I don't know. So
they're playing
know.
Tampa right now in Tampa.
So yeah, they'd also have to travel back. But again, they'll have only had to cover 9 innings versus the Mariners who have to cover 18. And if obviously you get the off day today, which would make Munoz available tomorrow. But if you throw Munoz in both games tomorrow, then he's definitely not available on Thursday, maybe not Friday. There's a snowball effect here that having a double header would be bad. You would much prefer that they say, hey, we're going to make this game up later in the year. We're going to find a spot that makes sense. And so I looked at it. There's a spot that seems to make sense in June because the Mariners are playing the Cubs on a weekend series and they have that Thursday off. So in theory, they could play there. Now, do the White Sox? I don't know. That's the problem. The White Sox and the Mariners.
What day did you say that it is again?
That is June 19th.
Okay. Let me look.
The Mariners are flying from Seattle to Chicago to play the Cubs on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
They're playing the Cardinals that day.
Yeah, so that doesn't work. And also the other problem with that is that if they did play that day, the Mariners would then be playing 24 consecutive days, which is dreadful. And the only other day that works seemingly is August 11th. The Mariners are flying to Baltimore to start a 3-game set.
White Sox are playing that day
off. The White Sox are playing that day.
Yeah, they're playing the
How
Tigers.
about August 21st?
They're not playing that day?
The White Sox aren't?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Mariners are flying. That's supposed to be a travel day. They're going from Philadelphia back home. So in theory, they could go from Philly, pit stop in Chicago, play the game, and then fly back.
So the White Sox would be flying from Atlanta back home to start a homestand.
So that's probably the day.
So that's probably
that's
probably the one.
Yeah. Again, the downside there for the Mariners is that they lose an off day. That's supposed to be for a cross-country flight.
Especially late in the season.
Right, in August, and that would lead them to play, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15 games in a row. So, it's kind of a tough spot where it's like, look, in the short term, you'd rather this game get pushed off so that we could be as close to 100% for an 4-game series against your division rival.
Yeah.
But in the long term, the only places you can kind of put this, you're going to turn, 10-game road trips into 15 straight games in 15 days. And the Mariners already have 2 different stretches starting in June where they play 17 plus games in a row between days off. That's the downside of having all these days off early is they come back to get you on the back end.
Yeah.
So you're in a tight spot if they do reschedule this game. You're in a tight spot if they just do a traditional doubleheader. Like it's just not great. It's really bad timing for the Mariners. But I think if you're looking at this in the big picture, I think you probably would prefer they just do a doubleheader on Wednesday. And maybe you go down a little bit tired for the first game or two against the Astros, but I think that's better than trying to start, a 24 games and 24-day thing or 15 games in 15 days as you get into August and September when those dog days really start to wear on you. So yeah, it's really bad timing, but we'll have to wait and see what they do. And I think they'll try to get the game in tonight, but there's only so much you can do. It's rainy, it's sloppy. Again, as much of a benefit as it would be for you to just keep your schedule as is right now, you don't want guys getting hurt. You don't want guys sliding around and on that grass and tweaking ankles and all that. So there's just really not any good options here for the Mariners. I think the best of a bunch of bad situations is that tonight's either the rain clears tonight somehow and you play tonight. That'd be incredible. But if it does continue to rain throughout the day, then I think your best option is unfortunately to just suck it up, play the doubleheader tomorrow, and take your chances with Houston over the weekend.
All right, that's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Titan Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Titan Gonzalez and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.